there. It is December 21st, 2023. Welcome to episode 303 of Roqe. I'm Jian Ghomeshi. Hello to you from Toronto. From Canada, Salam Dostan Aziz, Durud Bar Shoma. Hope you are doing well wherever you are tuning in from around the world in this holiday period. Happy Christmas to you. We've got a very special guest for a very special full 90 minutes on this edition of Roqe. You know, when it comes to Iranian arts and culture, we definitely have our icons, the kinds of names that transcend age or gender or geography or occupation when it comes to Iranians all over the world, and especially when it comes to Persian music. You'd be hard-pressed to find an Iranian who, say, is not familiar with Googoosh or Abi or Shahram Shabpareh or Mansour or Black Cats. But beneath each success story or iconic artist, there are those that play a role in creating the content and the conditions for the art of those masters to be heard. In some cases, it's those that are not necessarily the household names that might be the most responsible for the compositions or arrangements or melodies or production qualities that create the timeless art that we attribute to those icons. Today's guest is someone who, while not unknown himself, given his high-profile work in groups such as Black Cats and his tireless schedule as a live performer around the world, is one of those incredible pillars of artistic power that can be deemed to be responsible for a lot of the best of Persian pop music we've heard in recent decades. Schubert Avakian is my guest today, a man with a remarkable resume and a remarkable personal story to boot. He is talented, he's engaging, and an outstanding constant on the Persian music scene for many years, despite his own relative youth. If you know many of the big songs of Persian musical icons, you know Shubert. He will join me for what promises to be an animated and vibrant chat. He's quite a cat. All right. Good to have you with us. This is episode 303. Let's get started. This is Roqe. You are well. It is beginning to feel a lot like Christmas. Actually, it's not really feeling like Christmas. It's warm and sunny in Toronto right now. Santa may have to wear an undershirt, a t-shirt this year at this rate. But happy Christmas to you. Happy Yalda, happy Hanukkah, happy whatever holiday you do or do not celebrate. Good to have you with us today. A feature 90 minutes with Schubert Avakian. He joins me from Los Angeles in a few moments. I should note that we're not going to have a roundtable today. Smart Pega is off this week and has very sadly had a loss in her family. Her dear granddad has passed away, and so we are sending love and warm wishes and condolences and sympathies to Pega and her family. We will be back with a brand new episode and a new roundtable on January 4th, 2024. 2024, get your head around that. That's actually just a few days away. January 4th is our first show back in the new year with a roundtable. In the meantime, we've got this brand new show today. And next week, something special. We've prepared a re-edited and remastered edition of our series, Why Pink Floyd? Now, this is our exploration of how and why Iranians developed a disproportionate obsession and love for the British rock band Pink Floyd. It's a four-part series. We've re-edited it. We're going to post it starting on Christmas Day. That's next Monday. And then every day for 4 days across our podcast platforms and YouTube. You don't want to miss it if you did the first time. That series features the likes of Ramin Sadiqi, Arash Sobhani, Ali Azimi, Dara Darei, Anush Sabaktakin, Loga Torkian, Arash Mitui, Siamak Shirazi, Amir Bahari, Roya Arab, Sana Sutudeh, Maral Mohammadi, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's a great group of people and a really interesting meditation on how Pink Floyd became this obsession for Iranians. Why not the Stones or the Beatles or the Who or Zeppelin or, I don't know, U2? We get to that next week. We are coming to you on roqemedia.com. Instead, you can link to all of our platforms. We're on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Instagram, CastBox. If you like to see visuals with Roqe, switch over to YouTube at Roqe Media. And if you like your descriptions and bulletins in English and in Farsi and in Persian, you can subscribe to us on Telegram. Remember to get to support us and get on to being a Roqe member on our Patreon page. Just go to that website, roqemedia.com, that has all of our back episodes and our videos, and all of our content is there. Go to roqemedia.com. Right there on the front page, you'll see a Support Us button. Press that. It's Christmas time. You can support Roqe this year for a few bucks a month. We really appreciate it. We crowdsource. That's how we stay alive. Thank you to our members who have been part of this all year, and we're looking forward to 2024. All right. In the meantime, before we get there, let's get to our featured guest. And my featured guest today is an Iranian-born Armenian-American musician, a producer, a music arranger. He's based in Los Angeles and renowned for his exceptional contributions to Persian pop music. In fact, I would make the argument if there is a positive constant or spine running down the back of Persian pop music at its best for the past 4 decades or more, this man is part of that spine. Who is he? Take a listen to this.
کنارم سر به ناز بی تو بیا کنارم زیر طاق مهتاب آتش ببازیم به نسیم دریا غزل برقصیم تا طلوع فردا
اینجا بمونم واسه چی عشقو بیارم واسه کی رویای تو جای دیگه است برو سراغ زندگی
تو میتونی تمامو خواب کنی تو میتونی گونه های خیسمو پاک کنی تو میتونی دلمو شاد کنی تو میتونی منو از درد و غم آزاد کنی دل منو برده با نگاهش میمیرم واسه اون شکل ماهش میدونه که شب و روز خواب ندارم سر کوچه میشینم چشم راهش میگه دیگه با من کار نداره چی شده که منو دوست نداره نمیدونم که چرا قهر با من مگه توی سینه دل نداره حالا میگه نمیخوامت میگه برو نمیخوامت میگه دیگه نمیخوامت
There you go. In order, you just heard Abi, Sepideh, Shahram Shabpareh and Black Cats and Kamyar, all hit songs and all music that involved composition and or arrangement by our featured guest today, Schubert Avakian. Shubert was born and raised in Tehran in the late 1960s. He cultivated his musical talent from a young age, focusing on the piano. By the age of 15, he was already playing in a band, and at 18, Shubert got his unexpected big break by spontaneously being recruited to perform at one of Vigen's concerts in Germany. Schubert's musical adventure then led him from Germany to the United States, where he joined the popular Persian group Black Cats, actively engaging in songwriting and music arrangement. From there, he has been omnipresent and, you might say, unstoppable. Schubert Avakian's notable collaborations include working with iconic Persian pop musicians such as Abi and Googoosh, Vigen, Shahram Shabpareh, Hassan Shamaizadeh, Habib, Leila Forouhar, Andy, Mansour, 25 Band, and Sepideh. He is the CEO and owner of Ashnik Music Incorporated. And right now, it's a great pleasure to have Schubert Avakian join me from Los Angeles today. Hello, sir.
Hi, Jian. Thank you very much for the great introduction. This is my first interview that the person interviewing me actually knows this much about my bio, and thank you for respecting our time, and thank you for respecting your guests, because at all the interviews that I've watched prior to our interview today, you have done the same for every guest you had, which is very, very refreshing to see in our society.
That's so
Thank
kind.
you.
That's so kind of you to say, and it really is an honor to get to speak to you and delving into your story, which I will hopefully have a chance to do some of over this next 45 minutes, an hour. It really is remarkable. I mean, you've joked about being 100 years old, given how much you've done, how many artists you've worked with, how prolific you are. Most people go through life, Schubert, it occurs to me, specifically later in life, feeling that they are younger than their actual age. Do you feel both younger and older than you really are based on all your experience?
I would say again, like you said, I feel younger because sometimes the ideas that comes to my mind, I notice that these are too young of an idea for my age, so I stop myself right there. So I would say I do feel younger due to maybe the love of music or the passion that I have for my work, but never felt younger out of the chart. Like some people, they think just because they can do something, it's appropriate to do it. No, I try to balance everything, as best as possible as I can. But yeah, I do feel I'm 54, or in July I'm becoming 55. So I'm born in July 17, 1968, to be exact.
Yeah, you're already 55, but it doesn't. I mean, first of all, you don't look old, and second of all, you don't seem old. But at the same time, your experience. I'm going to ask you to be. I'm going to ask you to be immodest. No Persian taught off. I talked about you being a spine of Persian popular music over the last 4 decades. You are a constant and perhaps a reassuring presence as a composer, a performer, an arranger, a producer, and a surprisingly omnipresent one, Schubert. There's a 1980s Woody Allen film called Zelig. It's a fictional documentary whereby this man, Zelig, ends up being at all these major events in history. If you look closely enough at the photos and videos, he's there. And I feel like you're like a Persian Zelig of music. Does that metaphor of being a spine of Persian popular music in recent decades work for you?
I mean, I'm proud, and I cannot say, again, Tarov aside, because we usually have that Tarov to be modest, but I have been very heavily involved and committed to Persian industry and Persian music, as you said, since I was 18. I mean, I would never imagine I would get to this point or to this level of activity with the celebrities that I used to watch on Rangarang TV when I was a kid at uncle's house. And it's in the background. I see Googoosh, I see Leila Furuar, younger age. They were singing and performing. I noticed my passion right there and then, but never ever in my wildest dream I would imagine that these people are gonna be my closest friends and I'm gonna travel with them for months, and they're gonna come to my studio every week. And it is, I'm very grateful, super grateful for this.
که دارم برپا نکن در دل من آشوب دیگری همدل اگر که نیستی.
I mean, given how prolific you are, I figure it's one of two things. I was thinking about you this morning and thinking either you just happen to have worked with a lot of people because you're talented and over a series of decades, and so looking back now all at once it looks like a lot, or you are a real workaholic. Which one of those interpretations are true, or perhaps are you both?
I cannot be saying I'm the best. That's 100% definite, because right now that we're talking, we have many more talented people who are not 1/10 busy as I am. So it is not because I'm the best. I don't believe in the second portion of your example either, that you said maybe because I'm workaholic, because I, again, know a lot of colleagues who are more workaholic and they want to be busy, but they don't get as many requests of collaboration or job. The only reason that after years of thinking, besides the whole idea of thinking that I'm blessed and I'm grateful and God, helped me more. But it's kind of selfish when you say God loved me or helped me more, because then automatically I'm saying I'm a better person in his eyes. You know what I mean? But the only reason that I stayed current and I stayed busy, because I was always trying to serve the purpose. What I'm missing in the industry right now, and easily I can find 10 names, which I'm not going to name, obviously, that they're fantastic producers, fantastic, capable musicians, but they want to show their talent in the music versus serving the purpose. I tried to serve the purpose, whether I was 18 giving a song, 20 giving a song to Andy, or starting with Leila Furhar. I would always imagine that I'm helping this artist to succeed more, to go one step above where he is, or improve with my song, not because I have this chance, let me show how good of a keyboard I play, or what beautiful sounds I have, or how fast I can play a melody, which I see this repeatedly in my fellow friends, that they show their speed, they show their knowledge of jazz chords or positions that they can play, which is completely irrelevant for the lyrics that the singer is singing.
Is part of what you're saying that over the years artists have been attracted to you? I mean, at this point, quite frankly, your resume would sell itself, So, is what you're saying that artists have been attracted to you because they have known, either intrinsically or they have learned, that it's not going to be about Schubert being at the center of the music, but about enabling whatever you see in them?
Yes, 100%. I totally refused so many songs that they already brought, which was a good amount of business for me, and I refused maybe 5 of them and took only 2. This happened when Omid brought a song called Tomashari. This song was along with 4 other good songs, but not hits. They were good songs, but not hits. They're songs that is good to me and you, or artists, or people who are in the industry a little more, and it triggers them, but not good for Omid going on stage and getting this beautiful reaction from the crowd. So you have to know your society. You have to. I'm trying to the best to know my society, know the listeners. Jian, you might not believe it, I follow masalan Persian soaps. I watch Persian soap opera of Iran. I watch comedies just to learn the current Farsi language of how they're wording stuff, and because it's totally different from my era of Iran. Farsi, the Farsi has changed, the dialogue has changed, so you have to constantly keep yourself current. It's not about only making a groove or arranging something. You have to serve the purpose. I believe, yes, 100% singers have noticed that I put all my effort to get success with whatever step I'm taking with every singer for every project.
قصه تو قصه من قصه اگر و شبنم قصه برف و شراره قصه دشنه و مرهم قصه من قصه تو قصه تلخ دوباره قصه پلنگ عاشق قصه سید ستاره منو بشناسون دوباره.
By the way, as a sidebar, you watching TV shows and listening to what's going on, etc., is it consistent in your life? Because I think I remember that when you were a kid with the melodica, the first time you learned a melody and how to replay stuff was by listening to a serial, watching something on TV that you would wait for it to come on so that you could kind of mimic the theme or the melody.
Yeah.
But on this producer question, and I don't want to get too as they would say, inside baseball, like you two musical people talking to each other. But it is curious to me because I think the producers who shall remain unnamed that you were talking about, what they would argue perhaps is the whole point of coming to them as a producer is for them to put their imprint onto the sound recordings, i.e. you come to, I mean, let's not use Persians as an example. You go to Timbaland, or you go to a certain type of Dr. Dre, or you go to Quincy Jones, because you're going to get that treatment, and that's what people are coming for. And that obviously does involve some ego on the part of the producer saying, well, this is who I am, this is what I'm going to give you. But it is somewhat selfless, and are you selling yourself short by not doing the Schubert treatment on whoever comes to you?
Fantastic question. Let me start by saying the tattoo that I have on my arm is in Khat Mikhi saying balance, which I believe a lot in. And this one is karma, which I believe a lot in these two words that I tattooed. For me, there is a balance. Yes, 100% agreed. Every producer has a signature, has his own touch or her own touch to put on a song or in his creation. But again, we have to balance it. When Ebi came to me for the first song, it was in Germany. We were at a bar after a show, and Ebi came. We started talking, say hi, having a beer, this and that. And then he said, I have lyrics from Mr. Janati Atai, and that's Parvaneh Dar Musht, which is a very deep lyrics. So we started with that song. He said, I had a lot of composers trying, but it didn't pull my trigger. It was beautiful, but I want you to try it too. Maybe this will be a start. I go, I'm honored. We started with this song. As we started going to the second, third, which became an album later, Hasrat Parvaz, as we started going forward, I had to tell Ebijan that, Ebijan, I have to put my signature. I have to create my work. You have done so many beautiful songs with Jian Ghomeshi, with Farid Zoland, with Andranik, and all these legends. I'm never going to be competing with them, or even can compete with them. But if you let me to be myself, and you, by being the icon singer that I always loved, please come. Goftam bia tu bagh man. Please come to my visualization of what Ebi could do. Okay. That's how we started doing Harir Sabz and that salsa groove of Sedam Kardi, and then even lyrics or lyricists came to this project that Ebi would never work with them, to be very honest with you. Besides Janati or Khanm Zoya Zakarian, which are legends, the other younger writers would never get a chance to get their lyrics. So Ebijan has that courage to give young producers or younger producers than himself to put their signature. And I did put my signature. I even got a lot of bad comments and emails saying, oh, who are you writing for Ebi? Just boro shisho hashto benavis, you should just make Bandari songs and this and that. They said whatever they could. The same people became fans of the two albums I did for Ebi later on. Same people noticed that I started something fresh for an icon. Yes, he had beautiful songs from Babak Bayat and all these writers I mentioned, but also for an artist there was a room to, go a little bit different route, but still in his direction.
صدام کردی نگو نه اگرچه خسته و خاموش بودی تو بودی و صدای تو صدام زد اگرچه دور و ظلمت پوش بودی تو چیزی گفتی و شب جای من شد من از دور و غزل زیبا شدم باز تو گیج و ویج از خود گم شدن من از من مردم و پیدا شدم باز من از من مردم و
I didn't change Ebi's style, but I created a new direction in his style. So this is where the balance comes in. If that balance, you cross the balance, it becomes one of those wannabe projects that I keep hearing on Radio Javan. A Persian singer who is capable of singing, he has a good message, but they want to be black artist who I don't see the necessity of it. Why don't you do the Persian version of your hip hop and just be happy with it, be proud with it, or do your groove and say the same words? Why are you trying to be Eminem or you're trying to be someone else? They never try to be Middle Eastern. You go to an American, they never try to be an Arab singer, or
sometimes unsuccessfully, but
sometimes.
But you know, I saw you last month performing with 25 Band, and I know you've worked with them. So as by way of example, because they're obviously more, perhaps I don't know, obtuse an example than someone like Ebi. What did you see in them, or when they first come to you? What, I mean, besides the fact that they're nice people, etc., but what is it musically that you go, oh, this is how I can help this group?
I'll be very honest with you again. I never connected with their music prior to our meeting. So when we started meeting, I had to learn the songs, and I respected them for being very modern and avant-garde type of an artist, which I always loved. Sepideh is an avant-garde female singer. I like people who dare to be different, dare to have different attire on stage, and even the speaking, the whole message they're giving. I like them to be a little bit daring, not to follow what's common in the industry. So they attracted me by that. But then when I started listening to their music in a very interesting way, I started loving their music. Believe it or not, it was, to me, the simplicity in their composition and being very minimal in their arrangement also taught me a lesson that, again, Schubert, if you're talking about balance, maybe the balance has changed today. Maybe it's not about andronic style piano and string lines and horn section, harmonized chords and this and that. Maybe you should take it easy now, start to be more current musically and start being minimal. So that's what I learned from 25 Band. So it's always learning process. Yes, I love their music.
I'm just thinking about who you wouldn't work with, because I know you have you obviously you have your standards of who, you know, you're not just going to work with anybody, and I've heard you say that people sometimes come and audition for you. I didn't quite understand in the case of Omid that you were talking about a moment ago. You passed because you didn't feel the songs worked for you. So in some cases, would you say no to an artist if you don't like the songs, or is it that there's somebody, if the artist isn't, just the vibe isn't there for you, or the talent isn't there, or something, that you'll gently or kindly say, no, I don't have the time for this?
I would say the song not working for them. I don't want to be a partner in a sinking ship, in other words. So if I see that the song doesn't work for the artist and I get involved, then I'm only doing this for money, which is against my policy. And then if that song does not make it, which 99% I know is not going to make it, then my name is on it. Then automatically, unfortunately, music or art industry is very, very bira. It's like very... I don't know how to say it, like has no mercy. Yeah. You do 20 good songs and you do one bad song, it washes the 20 away. با بقیه فرق داری واسم دوست دارم اندازه سازم کنارت حس میکنم شازدم ببین شدی پر پروازم somehow they say, oh, some singer, he was good, but he's not good anymore. They kind of stereotype the whole thing. They forget your, the body of work you have done in the past. So I'm very, very careful picking songs that I like, but not personally like the song that is working for him. Maybe tomorrow a rapper comes to me and I don't dig the song, but I like the message, and I see a winning point in there because it's a unique thing, but it's going to work for him, to my knowledge, obviously, to my taste, and then I'm going to work. Yes, I'm refusing songs that whether even I like it or not, it's not going to work for that particular collaboration we're doing.
I really want to get into your story, but there's something too rich here for me to let go by. When you say you don't do things for money, which I think anybody listening to this would appreciate, and speaks to your artistry. At the same time, I wonder how. if the Barnome is called Roqe, I can't be too khajalati about asking questions like this. How much money do you make? In other words, one of the most heartbreaking interviews I've ever done, also one of my favorite ones because I love the guy, but was with Farid Zoland, where we speak for 2 hours about how this iconic guy, who I'm sure you know very well and has written, literally written hundreds of songs that most Iranians could sing back to you, and is living modestly and makes no money and sees no share of all of that he's done because of the desperate and dire situation around lack of respect and funding through royalties and publishing, etc., for Persian music back in the day and in Iran currently. What's the situation like for a producer, arranger like you? Like, if you're one of the biggest names in Persian pop and contemporary music, do you do really well?
I can't say really well, but the reason I try to, again, keep the balance in being involved in music and doing what I love. I do a lot of local performances with the LA band that I have, which are weddings, which many artists see this lower degree of performance. I don't know why, but again, I gotta say that they think if it's not a concert, it's not a performance. If it's a wedding, to arusi mizani, wedding mizani. I proudly perform weddings every weekend, proudly, because
so there's no element of I'm the guy who, had the Black Cats hits and Ebby and Googoosh, and I don't do weddings. There's nothing
That's where the ego would come in. That's where the ego would come in. Even for the wedding band that I have now called Rouge, this band has done shows that was bigger than concerts we did with Ebby. As far as the production cost, lighting, stage, I have done shows all the way in Monaco, in Italy, in Vegas. We did shows for the owner of SLS hotels in Las Vegas. The first night was Gypsy King, the second night was Rouge. That's a good number for me to mention and be proud of. So it's not a wedding of just, what do you want? Dimbali dimbul, okay, let's do it. It's a show. It's a show of 5 singers and 1 MC, which I have Hebrew songs, English singer. My English singer became number 4 at the Voice show in Europe. So Latin singer, Persian male and female singers. We keep the Persian music, and I make my weekly income from the performance of local bands. Then I do a lot of, obviously, songwritings, a lot of arrangements. I make some money from renting out my recording studio if people need it. And then I produce new artists. I bring new artists, hoping that the effort that I put in new songs, I'm going to help him or her become a new act. And then somebody's going to book this act, which is happening, and it happened. So I go make money on the road with this particular singer I created. So I create stars, which is a form of income in the future, and I try to make the balance. But it is very hard. Before my wife becoming an attorney, I was also struggling because it was very, edge to edge.
خنکاندم که نشینیم در ایوان من و تو، به 2 نقش و به 2 صورت، به یکی جان من و تو. داد باغ و دم مرغان بدهد آب حیات آن زمانی که درایی به بستان من و تو.
But can I just say, that's systemic when it comes to Persian arts, because frankly, it's outrageous that Schubert Avakian should ever be struggling based on what you've done for, and I'm not just saying this to be I mean, it pains me how badly, how the infrastructure in terms of the way Persian arts and culture is supported, respected, and elevated by the Persian community in Iran and around the world, which is not very well. It's badly dealt with. That somebody like you, who is at the top, of your game and of the game, should have to struggle. That's something that I always feel like we have to change. Even with Roqe Media, I always face this, where it's like I get the pat on the head, this is great, and we have the audience, but in terms of actually supporting, Iranians don't think of this the same way as they would think of supporting a real estate deal or some kind of engineering project, and that's a different discussion, but that's the state of how the arts are seen in our community. I'm guessing you agree with that, right?
100%, and in the same direction. Me, Human Takov, you mentioned, Babak Amini, and Aghay Yaghmai, I forgot his first name.
Kaveh
Yaghmai. We also talked about this, remotely. We talked about it, but we are kind of planning to be more serious about maybe starting any kind of a sandika type of a thing, any union that is possibly going to be active soon, to invite whether capitalists, people who can, help donate some capital for the music industry, or even doctors, dentists. If you're a dentist and you can see one free patient from art industry, from music industry in this case, give us that time. Give us that once a week or once a month. At least one person knows that, he can go and get the service for free, because we don't have any of this. And we have many successful Iranians. I always say this in any interview, and I encourage them to, by going to concerts, you're not supporting your artist. If I go to a movie Al Pacino acted, I'm not supporting Al Pacino. I'm enjoying myself. Right. So I'm buying a ticket to enjoy, to have a good time at that night.
You might be supporting the promoter of the concert, but not necessarily the artist. Yeah.
Exactly. So stop thinking that you're supporting and you're downloading free music of an artist. Yeah. You're not paying any extra penny towards whatever cost for the music video, song, lyrics, all the live musicians, studio time and everything. So that artist keeps investing money to keep himself or herself current. So you can support that instead of giving tax to the country that you live in, or in the US to Uncle Sam, for example. Why don't you use this money and then report it in your accounting as a cost for advertisement for your business? It's very simple. It's 2 times 2. But I always encourage them. I hope they hear us talking again about this. And honestly, thank you for even bringing it up, because that has been everybody's. I remember, I don't know if I should say this, but it's Roqe. I remember Susan, Marhum Susan, when she passed away. Shohreh singer was the starter of this whole fundraising. She called me, she called every singer possible to collect whatever money we can just for the cemetery, for buying the grave and the coffin and everything. So it's embarrassing. Yeah, it's really painful for somebody like Susan. And yes, I agree with you 100%. And Aghay Zoland and what situation is going to happen to me in future, God knows. But
And by the way, I mean, this is not, the problem is you can't say it. If you say, hey, Shubert should be getting royalties, I should be making more money, it sounds like self-serving. So I do need to say it, and others need to say it for Roqe and whatever. But the reality is, because I've worked in the non-Iranian music industry for a long time, as a manager, as an artist, as a producer, the reality is somebody at your level in the non-Iranian, in the English, let's say, music industry, and I don't know what the metaphor is, Puff Daddy, or like pick whatever prominent producer there is a multi-millionaire. I mean, Farid Zolan, if you write 2 or 3 Celine Dion hits, you're made for life, and this is these guys, people like you and him are, I mean, it is, I'm pretty sure most Iranians don't know how the injustice is being done. But let me park that, because that is a whole conversation we can and should continue to have. It's interesting when you talk about your openness to playing weddings, because part of me also thinks you must love performing. And when I saw you performing with 25 Band, I was like, oh, Shubert, like, I know he co-wrote and he produced, and so he's coming and playing on stage. And part of what I liked about that, I say this honestly, is you're keeping yourself in the game. This might be part of how you're keeping your tentacles, your antenna alive as to what's happening as a producer. I always trust. I'm a big soccer fan, football, and I always trust football managers, like my manager of Arsenal. When I see him out on the field still, because this guy's still in the game. He still knows what it's like. It's like to be as a player. He can't play anymore at the top level, but he. So is that part of it for you, that you're, as a performer, it continues to give you insights too, as a producer, arranger, composer?
100%. The energy that I get on stage, many singers, and I'm sure you've interviewed, that they told you the same thing. It's the most natural high that you can get on stage, when people cheer, and when you see you're moving a crowd with a song, whether it's your composition, that's even better. Even the performance, when you perform, even with a part of melody that I play, and I see their bodies moving with my melody, it feels like I have a remote control in my hand and I'm controlling their emotion. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a huge natural high that we get. So yes, the energy is part of it. Yes, the passion for live performance keeps me young emotionally and obviously active, but being current is the reason that is happening. No singer is gonna just pay me because I had some hits, or I had many good names on my body of work. They just spend the money because I again serve the purpose. I give them the assurance when I'm on stage, everything is gonna be safe, and I'm gonna back you up. I make sure the rehearsals are done, whether it's a new hired musician or not. I'm sharing all this because I want the other producers to know that it's not only khoshansi, oh, he's lucky, no. The work, the amount of hours I put is crazy, crazy. Every minute in my life counts, and I'm never happy just sitting and watching just normal TV or surfing on Instagram, watching random pictures. If I'm on Instagram, I'm following people I love and learn from. If I'm on YouTube, I'm taking classes online and learning more. So these things keeps me current with the technology that is in the electronic music today, with my sounds and libraries that I use for arrangements and recording, with my equipment I buy for the studio. All these things are factors that keeps me active and busy, not only because of my background.
You'll have to excuse my exuberance, because I've been looking forward to this, so I have so many questions. I'll try and truncate them to keep it within the next 15 minutes. But I do want to go through a little bit of your story, because the story is that you're enrolled in music classes in Iran when you're 6 years old. You're born in the late 60s, so through the early 70s. This I don't even need to ask you. I mean, this is a calling for you. You clearly, have this talent. I know your mom wants you to be a doctor, but your dad kind of relents after a while and goes, "No, the kid's talented. Let him go." What I wanted to ask you, I mean, I would tell you to tease out that story, but to get to a point that I wanted to ask you about, you're a kid growing up in the 70s in Iran, which many people would, I think, credibly make the case that, at least inside Iran, obviously, is the most fertile and successful period for music, and pop music, et cetera, before everything gets shut down with an iron gate in the 1980s with the coming of the Islamic Republic and the revolution. Are you on some level fortunate that you weren't born a few years later? In other words, if you'd been born after the 79 revolution and into the first years of the Islamic Republic, you probably wouldn't have had the same opportunities to explore music at a young age.
I couldn't agree with you more. And that's why I'm grateful every day for being fortunate. And I'm always talking about it with my friend, that how fortunate my generation has been. Yes, including what you gave as an example for music. Even my generation, seeing part of the good Iran that everybody's dreaming to bring back again, part of it, and also being in an era that the new technology came in. So we saw rotary phones and we saw cell phones. We saw no internet life, playing to plastiki on the street. And right now we have the internet and all these games. So yes, I'm fortunate of seeing both worlds. And definitely in my childhood, I remember everything like yesterday. As a matter of fact, my far memory works a lot better than close memory. Valley, the whole good days of my childhood, like I said, it was a dream that sometimes I don't even believe.
وقتی تو نیستی گم میشه آفتاب خاکستر میشه حریر مهتاب از رفتنت من پر میشم از شب دلهوره شب استراب وقتی تو نیستی دنیا شب میشه شب از دل من شب تو همیشه بی تو هر نفس تکرار ترس لحظه لحظه نیست نبض تشویشه.
This might be a strange thing to say, but I think if you were born in 1978 rather than 1968, you may not have thought as a 6-year-old and after that music could be a career for you growing up in Iran, because it wasn't even allowed, and you're Armenian to boot, right?
Yes, 100% agree. 100% agree.
The kid that then ends up in Germany, the teenager, and there's the spontaneous, you go on stage with Vigen. I love the story, and you've told it elsewhere. And, I can't believe the self-confidence you have to go on stage and, when they're missing a keyboard player. So you end up on stage, you're 18 years old. How does that kid without experience in Germany, but with talent, how does he become the guy who's at the center of the LA scene in popular music only a decade later?
I never knew this about myself, but as I get older, I'm learning that I'm pretty stubborn with what I want. I never knew. I always read this, obviously the cliche good lines that they always say: pursue your dreams, follow with what you believe in, and you're gonna get it one day, and this and that. I have done this without even knowing or reading these quotes or anything like that, but I do know that I always dreamt about being on stage, never as a singer, never as a singer behind the mic, never as an actor in front of a camera, but always as a musician. I don't know how, but I always knew this. So By at that time that Vigen was in Frankfurt, and one of the bass players called me saying, we're missing a keyboard player. Can you make it? I was super excited, but I was never confident. I didn't have that confidence you just mentioned. So I was super scared. I was scared even in the train going there. I was singing all the songs. I think at that time we had the Walkman with the cassette. So I was listening to all the songs. But just because of being Armenian and my mom and dad being Vigen fan, because this music was always in my background. Another topic, parenthesis باز میکنم, because it's very interesting to me. I never, Jian, never ever in my life I practiced to learn a song. That's very weird for me. If I listen to a song, if my memory allows to follow a melody, to me that means I'm playing that melody.
Wow.
If I cannot play it in my head, I cannot play it. I gotta figure it out how it goes, how the jump is, or how fast the run is. Not every song. If I listen to classical, I can't perform like that.
Right.
But I'm talking pop music, what I do.
Right.
If I listen to a Moin song I like in the car, it's as good as practice. Tomorrow night I can do a concert and play that song exactly like the album. That's one talent that I know I have. So this also gave me the courage. Oh, it's the same Mahtab, Gulesor. I always played this as a kid. I'm just going to play it in front of 2,000 people. I don't know. But yes, I was scared. And as you know, when he walked in for the sound check, he got offended when the promoter said, this is, I said, what are you talking about? Who is he? He's a kid.
Right.
And as soon as the guitar player said, Vigen John, let's do a couple of songs and see how he is. I checked it out, and he's pretty good. So when we started playing these songs, all he had to say, he said, please don't shave. I had very little beard. He said, don't shave because it's going to look ridiculous.
You look too young. Yeah. But this is why I call you the Persian Zelig of music, because you end up in all these situations that are quite extraordinary. I mean, one of your first breakthroughs, speaking of when you come to LA and you become the center of the scene in terms of pop music, one of your first major breakthroughs is the hit song called Qasr Kaghazi that you write and you end up giving to Andy. And that story's fucked up too, which is like you're sitting with Andy and you tell him you have some song and then he ends up recording it. I mean, it's tell that story if you can briefly.
Yeah. It's lyrics from Paksima Zakipur, and I always loved that lyrics. It took me maybe 15 minutes, I'm not gonna lie, 15 minutes starting to hum a new melody on top of these lyrics, and it kind of matched. I never have done any songwriting or anything like that, but I always wished to be a good songwriter. So I started with these lyrics, and then when I completed it, I'm gonna use a sequencer with a basic drumming. At that time there was no computer, it was a sequencer. The sequencer would give you 8 tracks and you could record drums and some piano and this and that. So I played 2 or 3 tracks just as an accompaniment, and then I started humming this melody. So this melody became obviously a part of me. I was so proud. I kept singing here and there for myself. This is how the song goes. When we went to Canada, coming back, me and Andy are sitting next to each other on one plane.
Randomly? Why are you sitting next to Andy?
We had a show.
Okay.
I think it was Leila, Andy, Ghomeshi, if I'm not mistaken. It was a Toronto show.
Okay.
And on the way back, Andy's seat and my seat were next to each other, just accidentally. And we started talking. So what do you do? How long have you been playing keyboard with Leila? This and that. We started getting to know each other. I go, Andy, I wrote a song. He said, oh, wow. Okay, sing me the song. What is it? I go, right here? He goes, yeah, sing it to my ears right there. I go, there's no instrument. He goes, just sing it to me. I want to hear the top line. I started singing, and I mentioned that is your favorite lyricist who wrote the lyrics, because he works with Paksima a lot. So I started singing Qasr Kaghazi, and sure enough, he said, I'll take this song. I go, are you serious? You're going to sing this song? He said, yeah, I'll take it. That was my start.
میخوام اینو بدونی دل من مرده دیگه توی سینه زدن و از یادش برده دیگه اون زره ها دست سنگین سکوت پل سرده بین ما من و تو تنهای تنها.
It's an amazing story, and it was your start, and you certainly blossomed from there. I have to say, there's something I've been looking forward to asking you about, which is that, you know, as a kid, I've got to be honest with you, in the 80s and then in university in the 90s, you remember I grew up outside of Iran. And so I didn't always love what came to be known as the LA sound with the 6/8 rhythm. It could sound trite to me. I was into alternative rock music and Western music. It sounded superficial on some level. One of the things I've been educated about in recent years by Iranians who were there at the time is that part of that sound, they say, came from a yearning after the revolution for Iranians in the diaspora to not simply be wallowing in sad ballads and crying songs, but to be doing something upbeat. Can you speak to that?
In what sense do you want me to talk about it? Like,
well, first of all, what's your reaction to me saying I didn't get it? I mean, as a kid growing up in the West, I was like, what is this 6/8 thing? And I didn't understand why Iranians were so into it. And now I kind of understand it a little better. And I wanted to know what your reaction to that would be.
Well, obviously the background helps a lot. You didn't have that background. We did have that background. So even in the radio, listening to even a namaz that is coming up, that is already Arabic scale and the Persian scale. So we are kind of familiar with the dictionary of notes that is already in our DNA. So that is already part number one where I think you didn't connect, or even my wife is born in Iran and she didn't connect in the beginning. She's half German, half Iranian. Yes. So she was born in Iran but raised in US. So that crying part of the Middle Eastern, I would say the snake music, like Persian scale, that is already something unfamiliar to.
No, but that part of it, I mean, the Daryush stuff from the 70s always spoke to me because it's very moving, and what I didn't get was the upbeat LA sound stuff. That was the stuff I didn't get. I was like, what? Why does it all sound like this? What are they doing, right? And
it's because of the meter, Jian. It's the meter of the. If the meter of the song is 6/8, or for example 7/4 Greek music type of a thing, sometimes it becomes very odd for people who are not grown in that culture, to connect with, because the meter is not something that I groove with. The meter of 6/8 is very oddly different than 4/4 and 2/4. That's why Arabic music is more welcome, or Indian music is a little bit more welcome to Western. You saw how Alabina worked right away, because 2/4 and 4/4, even mathematically, they tajziye mishan to them. So it's the kick pattern and how you move your body with 2/4 and 4/4. They're relatively the same. Reggaeton, a lot of dance, Spanish music or Latin music is again 2/4. Hip hop is 4/4. So all these 2/4, 4/4s are suddenly, when you change it to 6/8, you gotta be kind of familiar or have a history of this meter to understand, to digest it. Whatever we don't understand as human, we kind of not like, until we start liking it and knowing more about it, and then we connect.
میام دورت بگردم میگی گشتن نداره تو میدونی چه کردی که این دل بیقراره سرم با دلبری هات چقدر بلا آوردی دل من که نمیرفت به زور اومدی بردی یه دل نصد گناشه ولی انگار نه انگار همون از دست این دل همون از دست دل دار یه دل نصد گناشه ولی انگار نه انگار همون از دست این دل همون از دست دل دار.
Man, I could talk to you, when I've met you in person, I have felt this about you. You're somebody I could talk to for hours. We didn't even get into politics, the Middle East, Iran, any of that. But let me, and I hope we can continue this again before too long, but let me end by asking you this. I mean, when I think about the eras of the Schubert career so far, you're still a young man. There's so much more to do. And I think about the obviously pivotal time that you spent with Black Cats, that era. And I think about working with someone like Googoosh. And I think about your ongoing work with Sepideh. Who would you say you've learned the most from in your journeys with all of these different artists, and what is it that you learned from them?
Very interesting question. This is why I like your show, man. It's like you have the most unique questions. Shahram Shabpareh, I would say, to be very honest with you. Shahram Shabpareh was in the Black Cats era, not before Black Cats. I started meeting Shahram Shabpareh when I was performing some events together with Leila Fourar and Black Cats. At that time, Piruz was in Black Cats. And actually, for one show that I was with Farmers Asef in Toronto again, I have a lot of memories from Toronto.
Yeah, you got to keep coming to Toronto, it seems. Yeah.
I know. Farmers Asef and Black Cats, we did a show together in Toronto, and unfortunately, that was my last show with Farmers. We had our differences, and I'm not going to get into it. Again, on the way back, I told Shahbal about what bothers me, and he said, if you ever considered leaving Farmers John, let me know. And I did. Next week, I called Shahbal, we met, and we started doing other local bands, and learning from Shahbal is something that is so evident that I can't even forget. Learning everything from Shahbal John, learning how to believe in new artists, whether this artist might not be the Abby I expected, but believing in something starting from zero, believing in giving the new perspective to whatever I'm used to it. In other words, leaving your comfort zone and doing other stuff is what Shahbal is great at, and I learned a lot from him.
It's a great answer. That's a great answer,
Yeah.
and one that I suspect he would really love to hear. I hope he does. I thank you so much for your time. I look forward so much to seeing you again, either on stage or in person, and hearing what you do as we all do. And thank you again for being on the program.
Thank you, Jian. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, for asking me to join this meeting, and thank you for doing a great job as a Roqe, واقعا Roqe برنامه که I'm proud of. In the beginning, I was kind of 50-50 about saying yes to you. I go, maybe he's gonna ask some questions to take me to a direction I don't want to go, and all these things. Then watching your every episode, I think I watched all of them on YouTube, and following you, it's amazing how your perspective, the point of view you have for improving what can be better for tomorrow of music, Persian music, or even hosting an artist. It's just fantastic.
You're very kind. You're very kind.
Thank you so much.
Merci. See you soon. Khudafiz.
Thank you. Khudafiz.
بیا بیا دلم برات تنگه آسمون چشات چه خوش رنگه تو لبات خونچه خندونه جون منی عزیز دردونه بیا بیا با هم بریم خونه بی تو خونمون یه زندونه هنوز عکسی که با هم داشتیم روی تاقچه پیش گلدونه بیا کنار هم باشیم همیشه یار هم باشیم بیا کنار هم باشیم نگو نمیشه یار هم باشیم آخه یار من تویی دار و ندار من تویی آره عاشقت منم صبر و قرار من تویی.
There you go. Little Black Cats again with Majnoon. Thank you so much again to Schubert Avakian for this pre-Christmas interview. I really enjoyed that. This is Full Time for Roqe for today. Remember, for all things Roqe related, our website is roqemedia.com. Thanks to the amazing team who put this show together: Super Patty Saw, Smart Pega, Savvy Roham, Talented Anihita, Methodical Kaveh, Bearded Omid. Thank you to all of you out there for supporting us and sharing our content. Do subscribe if you haven't done so already. Find me on Instagram at Jian Ghomeshi. And as ever, Mizun Bashi.
منی عزیز دردونه Is there any cats in the house? Tell me who we are. The funky cats. Tell me who we are. The funky cats. Tell me who we are. The funky cats. Tell me who we are. منی عزیز دردونه